Welcome, one and all. It is Lex.
Hazen Fields II.
And Trey, how y'all doing
And
today?
this is Various Fields. This is Various Fields.
Various Fields.
Various Fields, as I'm getting ready. Don't mind me.
Oh,
I'm
wow.
so sorry.
It's okay.
We'll wait.
Can you hear? Can you hear us now?
I hear you just fine. How y'all doing?
All right, Mr. Headphones.
All right.
All right, go ahead.
And I wanted to. This is. We've been like what, semi-political, all political. I don't know. It's not political, but it doesn't matter. But there's this interesting idea that's been apparently a new thing in the Democratic Party that I did want to discuss, which is the idea of reclaiming patriotism. The idea behind it is a lot of people on the right tend to wave a lot of American flags. There's a lot of red around there. There's a lot of, they know what true patriotism is. There's also, with the Republicans, the whole idea of they apparently support the troops more. That's what they try to claim, and a bunch of things like that. And whether for good or for bad, better for worse, people sometimes on the Democratic side seem to either don't get that level of association, or for good reason, maybe the patriotism thing is a little less, we hold it a little less strongly, right? But at the same time, that can sometimes, as American, be like, who is it their right to take patriotism? Is their right to brand patriotism that way? I want to be patriotic. I want to wear an American flag. I want to be proud of my country. I want to go to the 4th of July and be like, ooh, it's wearing flag. It does look fun. I won't lie. It looks like they're having fun. But also, kind of maybe not the dangers, but the nuance in the idea of reclaiming patriotism is something that I've personally been struggling with, because I like the idea. Does that make sense?
I understand. But hey, listen, I hear what you're saying, and it's something that I struggle with myself, and we get it.
For me, I believe, I like the idea. I like the buzz around it, all right? And I understand that for a lot of people, America's not and hasn't really been great, right? Never has been great. So even the idea of MAGA, all right, has been falsely promoted as making America great again, right? I believe the whole idea of making America great has always been founded on the ideal of trying to have America be for everybody, all right? And having it be a nation where we can actually live to be ourselves in the best way possible, right? And if anyone is held against that right to the right life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, then no one is really living in America to begin with. So I agree.
I think that's fair. I like that a lot. But like, I think there's also like the imagery to it that I'm having a issue with. I think there's like the idea of, I guess I'm trying to also like specify why I have an issue with it.
Well, please, go ahead. Do it.
Which is like,
you're allowed to speak.
I think in any type of way, and this is for any person, any alignment, any way that you identify, you should support the things you believe in. And I want to support America, if that makes sense. I want to support America as a country and as a nation. And I think, but there's so much history to that. And it's not even like I can't. It's more of it's weird that patriotism seems to ignore nuance on its surface. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So, like, I can be patriotic, and I think a part of being patriotic is criticizing and is talking about the nuances and all the histories and all the things. But at the same time, if I wear the same American shirt, the American flag or something, and this was also me, I guess, picturing as like, what is patriotism? Almost like how do you do patriotism?
Well, actually, I was going to ask you guys to do that. Can you look up
The actual
Trey,
definition?
the definition of patriotism?
Absolutely.
And I'm going to give my insight because I'm going to tell you what I looked up. I looked up the colors of the American flag have symbolic meanings and what each stripe represents.
Wikipedia defines it as the feeling of love, devotion, and a sense of attachment to a country or state. This attachment can be a combination of different feelings for things such as the language of one's homeland and its ethnic, cultural, political, or historical aspects.
Now, I also want you can you pull up the lyrics to the Star Spangled Banner?
Oh, sure.
Can you do that? And I'm going to go there a little bit. So, the concept of patriotism is interesting because he said, Trey used the word devotion. Wikipedia used the word devotion that Trey just talked about. And devotion, you can be devoted to something that is in disrepair. In other words, if you buy a home and you see a home and you get a fixer-upper, there are those who get a fixer-upper on purpose because they see the potential that is there. So they buy the home, they get in the home, and they spend years and years, or if they have enough money, they are able to fix the home up to such a degree that the home that they saw the potential in becomes the home in which they absolutely want to live. Now, in my opinion, depending upon who's looking at that said home, if you look at it from the outside, someone says, oh my God, that house is beautiful. But if you look at it on the inside, you could say, well, it doesn't look as good. If you're a plumber, you might say, well, it does look good on the outside and needs some work on the inside, but the plumbing is really something people can't see. Depending upon your perspective of that house and your expertise, you're able to make a judgment on where you stand. But what happens in this country, if we look at America with the same idea, is America a fixer-upper? Is it a house that can be better? Is it the creation of a more perfect union that we should be striving for? Or do we really believe that America has realized every one of those ideals that are listed in the Constitution and the Star-Spangled Banner, and even in what they describe in the American flag colors? So that's why you have many Americans that have differing views. Now, I love the idea that we're allowed to have differing views, but in reality, a lot of people have a problem with people having differing views.
Right.
And so therefore they call your patriotism, they say it that they doubt your patriotism. And I'm in that group of people that if I'm looking at the American flag, I believe the words of the Star-Spangled Banner, especially the first couple of lines. If you don't mind, would you mind reading the first lines of the Star-Spangled Banner and tell us the punctuation that you see?
Okay. Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light.
Wait, hold on a second.
We have, oh, say can you see, comma, by the dawn's early light, comma, what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, comma, whose broad stripes and bright stars through perilous fights, o'er ramparts we watch, were so gallantly streaming, question mark.
Question mark. So the "Oh say can you see" is a question. And I believe there was a big battle going on. It was written by, I can't remember the gentleman that wrote it.
Francis Scott Key.
Francis Scott Key wrote it, but he was watching a big battle go on. And the story goes that through the smoke and what was going on at the time, he could see the American flag, but barely so because he was looking through the smoke and the fire of the battle. So the question of, oh, say can you see is a question. So once again, depending upon your perspective, sometimes you may be standing and you can't see it for the smoke. Maybe you're far away. You can't see the colors for the distance. Or maybe from your position, you can see the hope of the American flag being seen better if you kneel. Take a knee and peer and say, I think I can see the colors. I think I can see what it stands for. But from this position, it looks like it could be better. And while I'm here, I'll pray that it is.
So you're not really talking about the flag. You're talking about the position of where you stand in regards to the flag.
All of it.
All of it. Again, I believe in terms of fighting for the ideal. All right. Everyone has a particular ideal in mind. And I understand a lot of those people don't agree with one another what an ideal might even stand for. Right. I always come with the understanding and mentality of knowing that our generation, since Francis Scott Key and beyond, right, those people have long passed. So even in this first few stanzas of this line, of this I can't think of it. This song here.
Starts to
They,
think about it.
right, yeah. They were talking quite literally about war and maybe like seeing it as a sign of hope. It was what they were fighting for at that time, right? And in the forming of a union against people across the seas, all right, they finally stood for something that they could make their own, all right? But those people are long gone. We have a land that is very much our own now, all right? And now the question arises, what do we do with it? Do we hold fast to the iconography, the ideals of the people that we lived before us? Or do we pursue ever forward to a better and perfect union so it can incorporate all people who step upon this land and say, yes, we are in fact truly better than you, right? In which case, I understand there's some boasting when it comes down to patriotism. Oh yeah, like Mother England is better than USA, USA is better than France, or France is better than Canada, or whatever the case may be, right? But whatever land you stand on, there's a pride in being on that land, right? And what it has done, not just for you, but what it can do for you in the future, right? So I think in terms of reclaiming patriotism is a little bit of both, not just saying, oh, it has been this. It has been this for us, but I can make it better, right? With all of our decisions together, we can make it better for other people. And we, as a union, right, can make it better for all those who want to see it as better for themselves. Right, so that's why I believe, like, I don't want to just reclaim patriotism as a stance. I want to reclaim patriotism as a definition. I want to reclaim patriotism as a not for us speaking of pride. All right, I want to speak on it on a sake of like idealistic viewpoints towards the future. What can we do to make the nation better? And it's not just living in the past, living where our comfort was. Right? It's all about living towards the future in terms of advancement. That's how I see it in which way.
Okay.
I like a lot of that. I think I almost want to get, so actually before I do, please guys, if you like the conversation, like and subscribe. We appreciate it. We are now at over 50 subscribers, and we appreciate all the love and
Thank
support.
you so much.
So
Thank you
so
very
much for that.
Thank you.
And I think that's coming. I want to go back to that. Also, the idea of reclaiming the idea of patriotism, because I think also we're being very definitive a little bit. Like we're looking some things up and we're giving our ideas of it, but we're going down the Star Spangled Banner. Like, what does this say? And then we're also giving ideas of like what are the colors on the flag. But then there is, and I think this might be either the problem, but also kind of the idea behind it, which is branding. And there's a brand behind not just the idea of America and the flag itself, but the branding of patriotism. And I think that's also what my mind sees when we talk about the reclamation of it, right? So I don't just mean wearing American flags. I don't just mean like waving a flag around, but there's also idea of with all that ideology that we just talked about, with all the ideals we just talked about, can we as people of color, can we as people who present ourselves as Democrats, can we, whatever the case is, give off that same energy of patriotism brand-wise, if that makes sense, with the ideals. By that I mean when I see an American flag or someone else, like let's say the very stereotypical red truck, American flags behind it, and they're kind of just driving, maybe a little bit of smoke coming out of the tailpipe. It's a slightly uneasy feeling.
Right.
Now, if I put an American flag on my car and I'm driving around and see me as a black man in it, are they going to get this? Like this person has pride in their country. Does that make sense?
No, I understand.
And I think it was less of a, I get the ideals things, I get that. I think hopefully that's where a lot of people see, but it's also, can we challenge the idea of MAGA? Can we challenge that claim of patriotism in this aggressive way and be like, we deserve to have this too, if that makes sense?
Well, I think what happens is, for me, and mind you, everyone, in the comments, we'd love to hear your opinions because this is a polarizing conversation, and it can be. But I think that I would love to sit down and have a civil conversation with those who are on different sides of what patriotism is. And civility is very difficult to have when you're so passionate about the subject matter.
Right.
But so let's change the subject matter to something else to make a comparison. So I want you guys to immediately answer. When I hold up a mirrored ball, what do you immediately think about?
Fushigi.
I don't even know what fushigi is.
You talked about last week. It's a little ball. It's a mirror ball. It's a glass ball.
The labyrinth, David Bowie was being a puppet for that little round orb that he was using to show how magical he was as the Goblin King.
Okay, go ahead.
Disco.
Nell said disco.
Disco.
Exactly.
Disco, that's it.
Right, and I also think now. So I think of disco as well as a dancing place, and also I think of a roller skating rink. You know, so a mirrored ball, a mirrored. Do you want to talk about it again? Give me an idea.
No, disco. It just you said mirrored, and now I'm thinking like plates on the thing.
Right,
That's
there
a
you
mirror
go,
ball.
and whatever.
It's just
No, you said he said fushigi, so my mind went to that whole like, look what I can do.
All right.
continue.
So let me say this. Everyone's answer in here is legitimate. From my age group, disco was, something that was, definitely supported by the mirrored ball. It meant something different to different age groups. I suggest to you that the flag similarly meant different things. During the time of slavery, did the flag as it stood, did it mean hope or did it mean subjugation?
right.
It depends on where, during the time of Jim Crow, and I believe it was mentioned that we were not under the Confederate flag in Jim Crow. It was the American flag. So did the American flag during Jim Crow represent equality or did it represent division?
Right.
So depending upon what age you are, a 19-year-old kid may look at their 90-year-old great-grandfather and say, hey, Grandpa, your reality is no longer reality. Get with the times, man. Everybody has the opportunity to be equal, which discounts his memories, discounts his reality, discounts his whole life. My sisters and I are of an age where getting on the back of the bus was a reality for a time. Getting on the back of the bus by my mother and father was not even so much of a concept as it was public policy. So can you imagine living in a time where you're not even mad?
Right.
Because there are some people who were okay, not necessarily okay with it, but they just
That was a
said
day-to-day.
it was a thing. So you would, you'd see someone who was white coming across the street, you knew to not, make eye contact because it was just a thing. You learn, hey, how you doing? You knew how to not address them unless you're saying Mr. or Miss, and they were allowed to refer to you as uncle. Or something like that. They would have terms of familiarity, but you definitely had to speak in terms of title. When it was, when you would go to the black water fountain, you would go to it, with no regard. You'd see the white girl and see that it's both of them are free. Obviously, you use the black water fountain. The mindset during Jim Crow for some was just a regular day.
Right.
It was only some people that felt that it was not just. And then there was even fewer people that said we have to stand up to it. So so depending upon how you're blanketed with the flag will tell you, did the flag warm you or were you freezing?
So again, I don't want to discount or discredit anyone's personal history with the flag, right? But again, the question arises, like particularly, I'm trying to find my words here. It's not the iconography that I'm looking at, right? I'm looking at the nation. I'm looking at its people, right? If the nation is a flag, then that means that we are just a sum, all right? We are just, yes, it does represent the nation itself, right? But if the flag is the representation of where we are, right? If like everyone just sees red, white, and blue, oh yeah, you're American, da 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 da, then that doesn't describe our history. It doesn't describe our progress. It doesn't describe what we've been through. It's just colors representing a time. All right. If even in the Bible, I don't know the exact quote, but they say a church is not a building; it's people. right? So a nation in itself would have to be its people included, right? Yes, we're going to acknowledge your history, right? And then try our best to utilize said history so we won't repeat it, right? Move up and forward towards, away from anything that might be harsh from it, build from it, grow from it, learn from it, and then move to be better, all right? Because I don't want it to be a thing where people look at a flag and say, oh, I can't rep that because of what it has done. If that's the case, right, if we are so against the flag, then I say, yeah, let's get rid of the flag and find another one that makes us better. But that's not what people want to do. We want to represent a nation. Yeah, if it's all about rebranding, then let's make it different colors. Let's make it, instead of red, white, and blue, let's make the American flag
Purple, gold,
orange,
and black.
teal,
Calm down.
and
Sorry.
chartreuse. I don't really care,
Chartreuse.
right? I'm trying to. We want to make it different, right? If Colin Kaepernick knelt for what the history of the flag represented then,
But I think
all right. But even now, right? Kamala Harris is now referred to, or has been referred to, as a brat. That was at one point in time a derogatory term, right? But now it is something that is utilized to up the female, right? I'm trying to, I don't know what it is exactly.
Yeah.
I know. I know what I'm saying. Like, I don't know what it actually means, right? In terms of like pure definition, but like if Kamala Harris is brat now, like you can have a brat summer, right?
Yeah.
It's a good thing, right? So are we going to say, oh, don't call her that because it is offensive?
No, I know what you're saying.
Interesting.
Right. So colloquialisms, iconography, symbolisms always change. Right. The history might always be there. Right. But how it represents a person. Right. Can be changed from day to day.
Yeah.
Right. So all we want to do is make sure that the nation stands on progress. I would imagine. Right. To be better.
Interesting.
I think I'm seeing everything that's coming together, and I think, like, I would say I would argue verbiage is different. Like the brat summer thing is changed because I got changed.
Do you know what that means?
The meaning. So first, there's a lot. So this came from a song.
Okay.
I forget the artist, but they used it in their song, and that artist essentially redefined it, and that got more into pop culture, and that got memeified, which is like it kept doing. So that newer thing
made it a good thing.
Made it a thing as brat. So it's not like the meaning has changed, but the meaning has changed like any other meaning when there's a reclamation of it. So it's like this can do it. Because also brat, I also don't think it's been a bad term for a very long time. Because also we have Bratz dolls.
Interesting.
See, that's what I'm saying.
No. I'm getting to it.
No, but you're talking about rebranding. So even with Bratz being,
not talking about rebranding,
well, you said rebranding.
It got rebranded.
Okay. Okay.
I'm just saying there's two different. There's
not in terms of the word brat itself, right? But in terms of, you said it was a branding issue for the American flag.
No, but that's that's what I'm trying to clarify my point. I'm saying that I think there's a lot of ideas of patriotism, right? So there's the ideals, then there's the flag, then there's the people, things like that. But I think my issue almost is that going back to kind of the base of what I'm trying to say. On the right, I know they don't have the same ideals as me, right? Just by the nature of voting, right? I think I can agree with them, we can have the same thing, but there's certain level of ideals we have to have a difference on because we're voting differently to a degree, right? But if you are very proudly wearing the American flag shirt and I'm very proudly wearing the American flag shirt, it has a different meaning, but I feel like I almost have to fight harder to wear the shirt. Does that make sense?
But because of what it used to mean.
No,
not
what it used to, just context.
Yeah, exactly, in terms of its history.
But I'm talking about also on a surface level, right? So that's almost the issue with it. It's like, if I wear this shirt, there's going to be nuance to it, and there's going to be this, and I wear the American flag. Let's say I want to wear it proudly, and in my mind, and maybe someone else who's a person of color or black or immigrant may get it. They may understand, like, okay, you're reclaiming it, and you get it, and you understand because there's nuance, but you're wearing it because you want to take the flag back, and also you understand the history of Jim Crow, you understand the history of slavery, you understand the history, but you're wearing it because you're trying to redefine it, right? But also some dude who's just like saying MAGA, make America great again, can also just be like, wave their flag a couple times, everyone cheers for Trump.
Because they themselves become like a symbol for what America ought to be. Oh yeah, we're running out of time.
Yeah. Okay, well let me just jump right in here. Just like, if you like and what we're talking about, or even if it's becoming, because we may have to pick this up next week, because it's a very, very interesting conversation. So please like, subscribe, share with your friends, and on that note, I'd like to jump in with this thing to consider. Once again, generationally, there are different perspectives.
Correct.
See, because I'm an originalist in reference to words. Brat to me, will never be a good word, regardless of how people try to rebrand it. If I told someone, hey, would you like to eat that snail on the ground?
Yeah.
Most people would probably say, ew, no thank you. But if I take you to a restaurant and I say, would you like some escargot? They may say, my goodness, that sounds like a delicious dish.
Right.
But those who are originalists will say, those are snails.
Have you ever eaten escargot?
Not my point.
No.
No.
That's exactly the point, though, isn't it? Because it was rebranded as something else. Have you ever eaten escargot?
Well,
It wouldn't be rebranded.
Yeah, that's not rebranding.
Something different.
Okay.
It is
Yeah,
it's
but-
different.
But have you ever
agree with
eaten
that.
escargot?
I don't recall ever eating escargot, and it very well may be delicious.
Okay.
But my point is this. Different. That's a slightly different than the flag, because the flag in and of itself is supposed to be a living, breathing thing, even though it's not. In reality, it's a piece of cloth.
Correct.
But what we are asked to do every morning as a child is to pledge allegiance to it.
Also correct.
And the Pledge of Allegiance says, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right? So the flag, when we make that pledge, it's in the present tense. And I would suggest to you that everyone, since the pledge was adopted, have spoken in the present tense. And the thing I never quite understood or was able to wrestle with, and to the republic for which it stands, is it saying to us to imagine the republic for which it stands? Imagine the greatness, for liberty and justice for all. We can argue that the flag has not been liberty and justice for all. We can argue that the republic for which it stands has, in different times, stood for some horrendous things.
That is agreed.
Trail of Tears, this and that. So do we imagine the flag being that which we are yet to still attain, or that which we have already realized?
Okay.
I suggest to you that the flag is an emblem of that which we have yet to perfect.
Yes.
Okay.
I agree, and because I know you have another point, so to make it real quick, and I think that's the thing I'm trying to say, is that understanding to me takes nuance. Do you have to understand? Someone has to agree with you for the idea of surface level patriotism to be accepted or understood when everyone's wearing a flag, versus if someone who just goes very stereotypical, like a yeehaw, shooting guns in the air, wearing American flag, and just yells troops gun, whatever the case is. If you go to that, maybe that person could care less about the history, but they almost, as that individual, at this point, I am also talking about someone who would be white at this point, but like that individual wouldn't need to care about the history. They won't need it because it doesn't affect them. So I think that's the thing I'm struggling with. It's like it would take almost more for people of color, people with like that kind of thing, that want that level of nuance, to wear the flag, and then for it to be retranslated into that's why everyone's wearing the flag, for that continuation of we want America to be better. But what America's already known for, the energy that America gives currently.
Right.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is, and I know short period of time, right? If we're talking about red, white, and blue, because I don't think the Pledge of Allegiance will change if the flag changed colors, right? If we decided to say, oh, let's make it a different color. Let's make it, instead of stars and stripes, let's make it polka dots and squares, right? For whatever the case may be. Bad, horrible art, right? But here it is representing something completely new. From this point on,
Gotcha.
after the kneel, right, of Colin Kaepernick, this is the full flag of the United States of America. Would you still pledge to it? Understanding that it will stand for something else.
We're going to have to leave that as a cliffhanger. Please join us next time on Various Fields. I love my sons. I love their opinions. I hope you love them too, and I hope you love us all. And we'll come back at another time, and we'll talk about other things that is American on Various Fields.
Peace. Oh.
Peace. Love y'all.
And other stuff too.
And other stuff.